Men, pay attention. How a woman reacts when she realizes you've lost interest is one of the clearest windows into female psychology. Most men never notice because they mistake attention for attraction or effort for love. When you stop chasing, stop bending over backwards, or stop showing the same intensity, her behavior shifts almost immediately, and that shift reveals exactly how she values you. Modern dating is full of mixed signals, but there's one undeniable truth. Women respond to loss of interest differently than men. She doesn't need speeches. She doesn't need explanations. She reacts instinctively, emotionally, and sometimes unpredictably. Understanding these reactions gives you leverage, clarity, and insight into whether she's truly invested or just accustomed to your attention. Many men make the mistake of staying too long, thinking persistence will force desire. The reality is the opposite. Attraction diminishes when a man shows dependence, over-eagerness, or insecurity. Pulling back strategically, showing that your time and energy are valuable, instantly recalibrates the dynamic. Her reactions tell you whether she's drawn by genuine connection or by convenience and validation. This video will break down 7 common reactions women display when they sense you've lost interest. Each one exposes deeper layers of female psychology, how she perceives value, tests boundaries, and responds to emotional shifts. By the end, you'll understand not just what she does, but why, and how to navigate it with confidence. Pay attention, because these reactions happen whether you realize it or not. Once you recognize the patterns, you'll never view female behavior the same way, and you'll know exactly when to step forward, step back, or walk away. 1. Shock and confusion. The first reaction a woman often displays when she realizes you've lost interest is shock and confusion. This is the initial jolt, the emotional pause where she suddenly notices that the dynamic has changed. For weeks or months, she may have taken your attention for granted, assuming it was permanent. She didn't expect you to step back or disengage, and that realization hits her hard. Shock looks different depending on the woman's personality. Some become visibly distant, almost stunned, withdrawing attention as if trying to understand what just happened. Others may become hyper-attentive for a brief period, sending extra messages or seeking to regain your presence. Both reactions stem from the same psychological mechanism. The human brain struggles when a once constant source of validation suddenly disappears. Men often underestimate this phase because it can feel subtle. She may not say anything directly. She may simply act slightly off or check in more than usual. That confusion is her way of recalibrating. She's trying to figure out if this change is temporary, an accident, or a signal that she's losing you. Her curiosity spikes, but so does anxiety. This stage is critical for men to observe without overreacting. If you pull back too abruptly or re-engage too quickly, you ruin the clarity of your actions. She needs to experience the absence fully to reveal her true priorities. Watching her process. This shock gives you immediate insight into her emotional investment. Another key point. Women who panic or scramble at this stage are usually the ones who relied more on your attention than on genuine emotional attachment. Those who remain calm or unaffected are often less invested or have their own emotional equilibrium, meaning your loss of interest will not generate the reaction you might expect. Men who understand this phase recognize it as a natural psychological response, not manipulation. Her confusion is a test, not of your value, but of her own attachment. How she navigates it can tell you more about her priorities than months of talking ever could. The best move here is consistency. Stay calm. Maintain your distance strategically. Let her realize through observation, not words, that your engagement is no longer automatic. The moment you waver, re-explain, or chase, the test resets and you lose the insight she provides. Shock and confusion are the first windows into her psychology. They reveal how she reacts when control shifts. Understanding this gives you power, clarity, and foresight in modern dating, allowing you to see who values you genuinely and who reacts only to attention. 2. Testing boundaries. After the initial shock and confusion, many women move into a phase of testing boundaries. This is a natural reaction when she senses you're no longer fully invested. The subconscious question she asks herself is, how much does he really care? Can I still get him back? Her behavior shifts subtly, or sometimes not so subtly, as she gauges your reaction. Testing boundaries can take many forms. She may increase contact suddenly, sending more texts, calls, or messages on social media. She might flirt more openly, tease, or show affection she previously withheld. In other cases, she may behave provocatively, sharing attention-grabbing stories or posts to see if she can pull you back. These actions aren't necessarily calculated manipulation. They are instinctive attempts to measure your emotional availability. The key for men is perception. Many interpret this testing as genuine improvement or renewed interest. They misread the signals and respond by increasing their effort, which ironically confirms the pattern. She now sees that attention is a lever she can pull. True value comes from emotional independence. When a man maintains his composure and distance, she quickly learns whether her tests carry weight. Another common boundary test is emotional provocation. She may voice mild complaints, disagreements, or frustrations to see if you react defensively or emotionally. Your response, or lack thereof, reveals your level of attachment. Men who stay calm and measured communicate strength, signaling that you are not dependent on her validation. Men who overreact reinforce the perception of neediness, undoing any advantage gained from disengagement. Testing can also involve observing your social life or interactions with other women. Women will notice how you respond to others' attention and gauge whether your interest is flexible. If you remain confident, composed, and independent, you communicate high value. If you visibly fret, she interprets that as proof she still holds influence over your emotions. The most important principle in this phase is restraint. You do not escalate, explain, or chase. You allow her actions to reveal intent while you maintain consistency. Every test is an opportunity to see her authentic priorities. Those who value you will step forward with respect and curiosity. Those who don't will rely on manipulation, jealousy, or attention-seeking to regain control. Understanding this testing stage is essential for modern dating. It exposes motives without confrontation. It separates genuine interest from reliance on your attention. A man who navigates it correctly does not merely observe. He holds his standards, sets emotional boundaries, and lets her choices define the next step. 3. Seeking validation. Once a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the most common reactions is seeking validation. This is a subtle but powerful shift in her behavior. Suddenly, she becomes more aware of your opinions, notices your responses more, and may even attempt to provoke emotional reactions from you. She wants to see if you still value her, if your attention matters, and whether she still holds a place in your life. Validation seeking can take many forms. She might compliment herself, share achievements, or emphasize aspects of her life she thinks you will admire. She may also ask questions indirectly, fishing for reassurance or approval. Do you think I did okay? Or what do you think of this? In essence, she's testing whether your perception of her still carries weight. Men often fall into the trap of over-responding during this phase. They interpret validation seeking as vulnerability or as a reason to provide reassurance. The danger is that excessive responses reinforce the dynamic you intended to disrupt. She sees that even if you step back, your attention is still obtainable. Attraction diminishes when your value appears contingent on her approval or your efforts to comfort her ego. A key insight here is that genuine attraction doesn't rely on constant validation. Women naturally respond to men who are self-assured, confident, and composed. When a man maintains his independence while she seeks validation, it creates tension and curiosity. She begins to question why she no longer has automatic access to your attention, and that uncertainty often increases her desire. But only if you stay grounded and unreactive. Another important factor is emotional consistency. A man who wavers, sometimes giving validation, sometimes withdrawing, confuses her, but in a way that lowers respect and stability. True strength is in calm observation. Let her words and actions reflect her intentions without providing immediate approval or judgment. Your silence or measured response speaks louder than words ever could. Validation seeking also reveals priorities. Women who are primarily attracted to your attention will escalate efforts to regain it. Women with genuine interest, respect, and emotional maturity will notice your withdrawal but won't compromise themselves through excessive pleading or attention-seeking. Watching how she seeks validation is one of the fastest ways to understand whether her attraction is authentic or conditional. Finally, men must recognize this phase as a diagnostic tool. It is not a challenge to be won through effort or reassurance. It is a natural psychological response to perceived withdrawal. Handling it correctly, by staying composed, confident, and emotionally independent, allows you to maintain control of your value while gaining deep insight into her motives and priorities. 4. Increased attention. After shock, boundary testing, and seeking validation, a common reaction women display when they realize you've lost interest is increased attention. This stage is subtle but powerful, and it can be easily misinterpreted. She may suddenly become more present in conversations, respond faster to messages, or show heightened interest in your activities and opinions. She wants to see if your withdrawal was permanent and whether her efforts can restore the dynamic she once had. Increased attention often comes from a place of curiosity, anxiety, or desire. Women are naturally tuned to patterns of male engagement, and when the pattern shifts, they instinctively take note. By becoming more attentive, she tests whether your disengagement is genuine or just a temporary pullback. Men frequently mistake this for renewed interest, but it's rarely a signal of commitment. It's a reaction to a change in control dynamics. One of the psychological drivers behind increased attention is loss aversion. Humans generally react more strongly to losing something than to gaining it. Women experience a sense of scarcity when a man withdraws, triggering them to act, observe, and probe. The more you've demonstrated value, the stronger this response can be. But the underlying motive is often to measure your true investment, not necessarily to reciprocate or engage in deeper emotional connection. Men often make the mistake of rewarding this behavior with increased effort or attention. This is where attraction can reverse. If you chase her in response to her renewed focus, you signal dependence and a lack of emotional control. The lesson here is that her increased attention should be observed, not acted upon impulsively. Your composure maintains your perceived value, while her reactions reveal her true intentions. Some women will escalate attention to flirtation or subtle teasing, testing emotional and sexual boundaries. Others may attempt to share more personal information or involve themselves in your life to regain influence. The key for men is to recognize the distinction between genuine mutual interest and reactive behavior spurred by your disengagement. Handling this stage successfully involves maintaining your standards, not over-investing, and allowing her actions to demonstrate her priorities. By responding with calm, measured interaction, you maintain control of your emotional presence while giving her the opportunity to show whether her renewed attention aligns with genuine attraction or simply reactionary behavior. In short, increased attention is rarely a reward. It is a test. Understanding this stage lets you interpret her motives clearly and act with confidence. 5. Jealousy and curiosity. When a woman senses you've lost interest, one of the most revealing reactions is jealousy and curiosity. Suddenly, she becomes aware of your social interactions, your attention to others, or even your activities outside of her sphere. She may ask questions about your day, who you spend time with, or subtly reference other women. This isn't always conscious. Often, it's an instinctual measure to gauge whether she still holds influence over you. Jealousy in this context is a test. It's not necessarily malicious, it's psychological. Women are wired to notice when a valuable connection withdraws. Your disengagement triggers a subconscious evaluation. Do I still matter? Can I regain his attention? The curiosity that comes alongside jealousy is her attempt to gather information to restore equilibrium. She wants to see if your interest has shifted elsewhere, or if your withdrawal was serious. Men frequently misread this phase. They may feel flattered, believing jealousy signals desire or love. While it can indicate some level of attachment, it is rarely evidence of genuine emotional investment. If you respond by over-explaining, apologizing, or competing for attention, you undermine the very attraction you aim to preserve. Your perceived value diminishes because her actions now direct your behavior instead of the other way around. Another common manifestation of jealousy is social comparison. She may highlight interactions with other men, whether real or perceived, to see how you react. This is not about controlling you, it's about understanding her relevance. A strong man observes these cues without overreacting, remaining composed, confident, and independent. The goal is not to provoke drama, but to evaluate her response objectively. Curiosity often pairs with subtle tests of emotional reaction. She may push boundaries, make provocative statements, or inquire about your feelings indirectly. Her goal is to measure your attachment, stability, and emotional consistency. How you respond reveals more about your value than any words she utters. The critical principle here is restraint. You do not compete, over-explain, or chase validation. Instead, you allow her reactions to inform you about her priorities. Women who react with respect, humor, or measured effort demonstrate authentic interest. Those who escalate in desperation, drama, or manipulation reveal reliance on attention rather than genuine attraction. Jealousy and curiosity are powerful indicators of female psychology. Recognizing these behaviors allows men to maintain authority in their own emotional space while clearly observing her level of investment. Handling this stage correctly preserves attraction, reinforces boundaries, and separates genuine connection from reactive attachment. 6. Attempts to rekindle attention. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, she may make deliberate attempts to rekindle your attention. This stage is often the most telling because it separates women who are truly invested from those who are comfortable with the validation you provide. These attempts can be subtle or overt, but they all serve the same purpose: to re-establish control over your emotional engagement and test whether your withdrawal is permanent. Attempts to regain attention can take many forms. She might increase flirting, initiate deeper conversations, or become more physically or emotionally engaging. Some women may plan encounters, suggest shared activities, or suddenly take an interest in aspects of your life that previously went unnoticed. Others may employ indirect tactics, like posting on social media in ways that she knows you'll see, or highlighting her attractiveness or accomplishments to provoke a response. Men often misinterpret these behaviors as signs of renewed interest or commitment. The danger here is responding impulsively, chasing, or over-investing in reaction to her efforts. Doing so immediately undermines your position and signals that your attention is conditional, available for manipulation. True attraction comes from emotional independence, not reactive behavior. Observing without overcommitting is key. Psychologically, these attempts reveal what she values: attention, reassurance, or a combination of both. Women who act thoughtfully, without desperation, may genuinely desire your connection and are testing whether your withdrawal was a boundary-setting measure. Women who react with obvious manipulation, excessive dramatics, or sudden urgency are often more attached to the comfort your attention provides than to you as a person. Another critical factor is consistency. If her attempts to regain attention escalate when she senses your disengagement but quickly fade when you remain composed, it shows reactive behavior rather than sustained investment. This distinction is crucial. Attraction grows where interest is earned, not demanded. Men who navigate this stage successfully maintain calm authority. They respond selectively, preserve emotional boundaries, and let her actions demonstrate priorities. Any escalation from her should be met with measured engagement or neutral observation, never desperation. Your composure signals value, emotional stability, and independence, all traits that modern women find inherently attractive. Finally, recognizing attempts to regain attention allows men to see past surface behaviors. It provides clarity on whether her interest is authentic, conditional, or motivated by fear of losing validation. By observing without reacting impulsively, you maintain control of your presence and ensure that any future connection develops on terms that preserve respect, intrigue, and genuine attraction. 7. Withdrawal and reflection. The final stage. A woman often displays when she realizes you've lost interest is withdrawal and reflection. After the initial shock, boundary testing, validation seeking, and attempts to regain attention, many women take a step back to process the situation internally. This phase is quiet, but extremely revealing. It shows how she truly prioritizes you when the emotional noise settles. Withdrawal isn't necessarily coldness, it's introspection. She begins evaluating her feelings, assessing whether she genuinely cares about you, or if she has been more attached to the comfort of your attention. She may reduce communication, limit social media interactions, or give you space to see if your disinterest persists. This step forces both of you to confront the reality of the connection without distraction. Men often misinterpret withdrawal as rejection or disinterest from her side. In reality, it is a moment of self-assessment. Women are considering the value of the relationship, their emotional investment, and whether it aligns with their needs. Observing her behavior during this period provides clear insight into her intentions. Those who continue to show subtle interest, check in occasionally, or maintain meaningful engagement are usually genuinely invested. Those who disappear completely reveal that their attachment was largely dependent on your attention. Psychologically, withdrawal is also a test of your composure. Women observe whether you overreact, chase, or seek reassurance. Your ability to remain detached, confident, and focused on your own life communicates emotional strength. It shows that your value is not contingent upon her validation, which can trigger a recalibration of her perception of you. This stage also highlights the difference between attraction and convenience. Women who act primarily out of attachment to your attention may eventually resume contact, but often in ways that signal neediness or manipulation. Women who value you genuinely will either step forward with measured engagement or accept your loss without drama, indicating emotional maturity and authentic interest. For men, understanding withdrawal and reflection is essential. It's the ultimate litmus test for female psychology. Observing without overreacting provides clarity and allows you to differentiate between temporary reactionary behavior and long-term investment. Emotional independence is crucial here. Your responses, or deliberate lack of them, signal your standards and maintain your position of strength. In short, withdrawal and reflection are not signs of defeat. They are a mirror showing her true priorities, intentions, and level of attachment. A man who remains composed, patient, and observant during this phase, gains profound insight, maintains attraction, and positions himself as someone who commands respect and value in modern dating. Men, understanding how a woman reacts when she realizes you've lost interest is one of the most powerful tools in modern dating. Every reaction, from shock and confusion, to testing boundaries, seeking validation, increasing attention, displaying jealousy, attempting to regain your focus, and finally withdrawing to reflect, reveals her true priorities and level of investment. These stages expose whether her attraction is genuine or merely a response to the comfort of your attention. Too many men misread these behaviors. They chase, over-explain, or give in to reactive impulses, unknowingly lowering their value. Modern dating rewards emotional independence, composure, and strategic observation. By pulling back intentionally and watching her reactions, you gain insight into her motives while maintaining your position of strength. Attraction flows naturally to men who are confident, self-sufficient, and deliberate in their actions. Each phase teaches a lesson. Shock and confusion reveal dependency. Boundary testing shows what she's willing to do to regain influence. Validation seeking uncovers whether her attachment is conditional. Increased attention and jealousy measure curiosity and desire, while attempts to rekindle engagement distinguish authenticity from neediness. Finally, withdrawal and reflection expose her true intentions once emotional dust settles. Mastering these insights allows men to navigate relationships with clarity and confidence. You'll know when to step forward, when to hold your ground, and when to walk away entirely. Emotional strength, strategic patience, and selective engagement are what maintain attraction, respect, and intrigue. The takeaway is simple. Women's reactions are windows into their psychology. Observe carefully, act deliberately, and never compromise your self-respect. When you lose interest thoughtfully, you don't just test her, you protect your value and reveal the kind of woman who truly deserves your presence. This knowledge transforms dating from guesswork into a game of insight and control, where your awareness dictates the outcome, not uncertainty or overinvestment.